Ink ribbon.
One of the biggest masterpieces in video game history is Metal Gear Solid on the PlayStation 1. It was the game that showed developers that games could be cinematic and have an amazing story, and inspired countless games today. It's also one of my all-time favorites, so I'm very excited to bring you my list of the top 10 secrets and Easter eggs in Metal Gear Solid.
Number 10.
Vent glitch. In Metal Gear Solid, there are a few places where you can get out of bounds and access areas early. Probably the best place to do this is the vent in the room near the DARPA chief's cell. In order to do this, you have to crawl backwards into this vent and enter first-person mode. Face towards the ladder and then look up and have Snake exit crouch mode. You should now be outside the map and head around, ending up in the torture cell. Just be warned that it can cause some problems in some cases, so I'd suggest an alternate save if you're going to use it.
Number 9.
Dog pee. When you're traveling with Meryl, you come across a pack of wolves that really hate Snake. If you hit Meryl normally, she'll give Snake a slap. If you hit her here, she will sick the wolves on you instead. But if you hit her and then immediately equip a cardboard box, a wolf will pee on you. From this point on, if you equip this box while traveling in any areas with wolves, instead of attacking Snake, hearts will appear over their heads and they become friendly and obedient.
Number 8.
Blushing Meryl. Speaking of hearts over their heads, Meryl has a few Easter eggs herself. When you first encounter her in the game, you're in an air vent while she's working out. If you leave the vent and come back, she changes her workouts. Eventually, she will repeat her workout cycle, this time with no pants on. And this isn't the only time you can see her panties. Later in the game, when you encounter her in uniform, she will run to the women's restroom. If you get there fast enough, she won't have enough time to get dressed, and the first half of the cutscene will be a half-dressed Meryl.
Solid Snake.
You're Meryl? There's no way you can pass for a man for long.
And lastly, my favorite Meryl Easter egg, and honestly I don't know why, when you're with her, if you continue to stare at her in first person, she becomes embarrassed and progressively turns redder and redder.
Come on, Snake. What are you doing? We've got to get a move on.
Number 7.
Police Knots references. The main reason I'm mentioning this one is because it's an excuse to tell you guys how amazing Police Knots is. It's such a shame that we didn't get it here in the US, but it's really worth playing. And the good news is there's a fan-made English translation if you want to play it for yourself via an emulator. Anyway, there are a few references to Police Knots in Metal Gear Solid. First off is the opening tune of the game that you probably heard. Well, this is the Police Knots theme. Along with that are a few posters located throughout the game. And lastly, Meryl herself. She is actually a full-fledged character in Police Knots, although I'm pretty sure they aren't in the same universe.
Number 6.
Weapons glitch. This might only be on the PC version, but I think it works on all versions, and it's still worth mentioning here. There's a really big exploit known as the weapons glitch. It's a little weird to do, but basically, with an item equipped, usually a ration, if you cause an explosion to knock Snake down, immediately go into first person mode and mash the R1 button while rotating the left analog stick as much as you can. If successful, you will now have a sort of pseudo God mode activated. If you equip certain weapons like the Stinger, you are now able to run through the game without being seen or damaged, and you can also run straight through triggers, which allows you to skip cutscenes, boss fights, and entire sections of gameplay. This one's really hard to set up and can cause some weird things to happen. But if you ever get bored, now you have a reason to dust off your copy of the game and boot it up.
Number 5.
Metal Gear Solid Integral. In Japan only, there was a release of the first game retitled Metal Gear Solid Integral, and sadly it was never released overseas. I say sadly because looking it up, it boasted an impressive amount of content and changes. The voice is changed to English with the options of English or Japanese subtitles. VR training mode was removed from the main menu since it already was included on the third VR missions disc. The game now has 5 difficulty modes consisting of very easy, easy, normal, hard, and extreme. In very easy mode, Snake starts the game with a new weapon, an MP5 that functions just like the FAMAS, except that it has unlimited ammo and a silencer. Very easy is identical to easy mode, except you will not receive a rank at the end. The torture event with Ocelot is now 3 rounds across all difficulties, making it a lot easier. When you find Johnny naked, he will be wearing underwear instead, just like in the original Japanese release. If you had a Pocket Station, which was a Japanese exclusive peripheral, you could receive a secret mission from Naomi to exchange codenames with 5 other Pocket Station users in order to unlock the ninja missions in VR mode.
That's right.
Along with Snake donning a tuxedo, Meryl will now have a sneaking suit. After completing the game once, you can unlock first-person mode, where by tapping triangle twice, you can now run around and shoot in first-person mode for most parts of the game. And lastly, 2 secret codec frequencies were added where you can hear some of the game's hidden music tracks, as well as messages from the development team.
Number 4.
Beta Snake. Normally when I'm searching for things like development secrets or beta footage, I have to look deep into the internet. But I was able to find this image of Snake with a very unsettling face texture. Where did I find it? I actually found it on Amazon, shown as a screenshot. But the interesting thing is that it's from a very early build of the game when it was still in beta. The now iconic face textures were originally more traditional in terms of facial features, but I think the final result works better for its aesthetic.
Number 3.
Disappointed Ocelot. Normally when you fight Ocelot, after you beat him, you get this dialogue.
You're pretty good. Just what I'd expect from the man with the same code as the boss. It's been a long time since I had such a good fight, but I'm just getting warmed up. What?
But if you do poorly in the fight and die a few times, instead you get this alternate cutscene.
I'm disappointed. You're no match for the boss. Playtime's over, friend. You're not cut out for war. Don't worry. I'll kill you quickly. What?
Number 2.
Fake names. When Kojima was planning on releasing Metal Gear Solid, he didn't expect it to sell so well. In fact, nobody did. Not Konami, not Kojima, and not the voice actors, which is one of the reasons the opening credits contain a bunch of pseudonyms. The other reason for these fake names in the opening credits is that many of the voice actors feared that SAG rules would not allow them to do the game, so to be safe, they were credited with fake names. In the European booklet of the game, you can still see David Hayter credited as Sean Barker, a pseudonym he's used in various video games and anime, based on the character he played in the live-action movie Guyver, Dark Hero.
Number 1.
Codec calls. This game has so much dialogue, I'm honestly surprised it was only on 2 discs. If you played every codec call in the game continuously, it would be over 6 hours long, which is crazy. And of course, among these are tons of hidden dialogue and reactions, but I found a few that were either amusing or interesting enough to share. First off is a call where Master Miller corrects Snake about Vulcan Raven's birds. They aren't ravens, but actually crows. Not only that, but Snake will no longer refer to them as ravens after this call. Another Miller call that breaks the fourth wall a bit is in the tank hangar at the beginning of the game. If you continuously call him, he will eventually mention being able to control your bodily functions, and warns the player about using the bathroom before playing the game as it has some very long cutscenes.
It's also important to be able to control your bodily functions. You never know when a long demo is about to begin. So make sure you're prepared to sit in front of the monitor for a long time if necessary.
Mei Ling has an infamous codec call too. Normally you call her to save your game, but if you keep calling her and not saving, she will start to get annoyed until eventually she just stops talking to you.
Come on, Snake, don't call me for no reason.
After a few calls, she will just stick her tongue out at you. We all know about the amazing fourth wall breaking moment during the Mantis fight where he makes your controller rumble, but there's another way the game detects your hardware. During the Hind D fight, Campbell and Naomi tell you to listen to your TV speakers to find the Hind, but if you have a mono speaker TV, they will actually comment on it.
His rotor blades. Huh? Snake, you're not using a stereo TV?
It can't be. A mono TV. Well, Colonel, there's nothing we can do about it.
And lastly, in true Japanese fashion, all the characters weigh in their thoughts about Snake being in the women's bathroom. Since you only get one opportunity to go into the women's restroom, it's really easy to miss, and the reactions range from don't care to very angry depending on who you call.
Snake, that's a ladies' bathroom.
I know that. Saw Meryl come in here.
So you're waiting after her? Are you some kind of pervert? I won't let you save your mission now.
Listen, Mei Ling, this is the only place on the base that I can talk to Meryl alone.
Whatever, weirdo. Don't call me again.
And that's it for this list. If there are any other cool things that I missed, let me know in the comments. If you liked this video, feel free to subscribe to my channel, and don't forget to check out the community tab where you can vote on future videos. I'm Kai Morgan, and as always, thanks for watching Ink Ribbon.